This Thursday morning edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing, whatever you want, they have it at firstroundcollectibles.com. And with our promo code SportsAddict, get 10% off regular priced and sales priced items. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah. I just gotta go hard. Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to.
And welcome. Screw the intro. I don't know if that was the same for you guys. My computer is just absolutely just on fire this morning. So that intro may have been full and it may have only been 20 seconds. I have no idea what's happening. But regardless, welcome to Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live. I am Mark Sauter. It is good to be here. Great show yesterday, gents. Thank you for holding down the fort. I am back today. One game in the NHL last night. This is one of those wonderful days where we can use the word stave because the Colorado Avalanche staved off elimination against the Dallas Stars last night. 2 games to tonight. One of them, another team trying to stave off elimination, and then a game 5 in Vancouver. We're going to touch it all. But first, as always, at the top of your screen, right next to me, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics. John, how are we feeling on a Thursday?
Doing pretty good. Happy to have the full crew back today. And Mark, I think the teams are waiting for you to come back to advance to the conference finals. It doesn't seem like anyone wants to go yet.
No, nobody wants it. Nobody wants to go. At the bottom of your screen, you read his gambling picks on winners and whiners. You read his work on Give Me Sport. Andre, how we feeling on a Thursday?
Feeling pretty good. Shout out to Colorado for surviving and waiting for you to come back so you could talk about them a little bit more. I know you were excited to get some Makar and McKinnon love in before they officially ended their season. So,
I mean, listen, huge game from them last night, specifically Makar, right? I think both teams. Makar was okay, but in game 4, they both seemed like a shell of themselves, and rightfully so. We all know what transpired hours before puck drop. But yeah, last night, man, Cale Makar was just on an absolute mission, getting 2 goals. Congratulations, gentlemen, on your parlay hitting. Very exciting. Great job. The over 6.5 total, and Makar with over 1.5 points. Great picks by you. Before we get going on this show today, I do just want to quickly, from a Canadian side of things, legendary TSN broadcaster Darren Dutition. I've butchered his last name for my entire life, so if I'm butchering his last name now, I do apologize. But Darren Dutition passed away at age 57. We were notified of this morning. Very, very sad. This guy was an absolute staple in Canadian broadcasting for TSN for over 30 years. And so, yeah, really, really tough day. I listen to TSN radio all the time. I know they're going to be talking about it a lot. And so a couple really, really great Canadian broadcasters leaving us over the past few weeks. So prayers with his family and with his friends over at TSN. Just a little side note. I remember one time I was at a bar in Toronto, and I can't remember. It was down by Scotiabank Arena, and I can't remember what the bar was called. But Darren Dutition was playing darts, having beers, playing darts, and this guy was absolutely jacked. Like, just like you see him on TV. Like, you guys know, like, you watch Sports Center, back home, and you watch TV and you see guys. And then if you ever see them in real life, you're like, yo, this guy is friggin' huge. Like, he's jacked, swole. So, so condolences to his family, and we lost an absolute beauty in Canadian broadcasting this morning. All right, moving on to the game last night, the Dallas Stars with a chance to move on, and they do not. They lose 5-3 to the Colorado Avalanche. Andre, let's start with you, man. What did you see in that game last night?
The Avs kind of reminded themselves who they were, or they kind of got back to who they were. That's what I saw from them. The Stars, yet again, got the early swing in, but no panic this time around. The Avs tied it up right before the first period, got some momentum. Fell behind again. Got another power play goal to even it up again. Scored the next couple. And then when the Stars tried to make it a game again, they cut it to 4-3, put it away. Really good game from the Stars. Talking about McCarr, Rantanen, McKinnon. I believe all of them had multiple points. They kept the season alive. And we said, well, me and John said yesterday, there's really no excuses. I mean, there are excuses, but this team isn't going to let what's happening behind the curtain define them. This team isn't going to go out quietly, only scoring one goal. That's not who they are. That's not how they want to be remembered. And at least for one night, they got the job done. Now they're back in Ball Arena where they feel like they're not going to lose 3 in a row. So they have to be feeling good about their chances for a Game 7, especially since the offense and the power play are clicking again. They did everything they needed to do to not only get themselves a season-saving win, but to get themselves into a Game 7 scenario. I wouldn't panic if I were Colorado.
Well, and I mean, this is what we've seen all year long from the Dallas Stars, in the sense that if Ottinger is ordinary, the Stars are in trouble. Against another team, sure, you can outscore your goaltending problems, but against Colorado, he has to be brilliant. He just has to. It was the same thing for the Jets, a little bit different because the Jets' offense is not what Dallas's offense is. But it's the same thing for the Stars. I thought the Stars played okay. I just thought Colorado had a lot of conviction, and I think that they had time to realize, like, okay, our boy's not coming back. There's a whole windfall that's going to happen from this, right? Like, I would be surprised if he even comes back to Colorado. In 6 months, he applies for reinstatement. So there's just no more choo-choo train, right? There's no more Natushkin. Let's just move on. And they just play with a lot of conviction last night. A big problem for Colorado in this whole series has been starting. And I thought they started really well last night. They came out flying. And here we are looking at a Game 6 tomorrow night. John, what about you, man? What did you see in that game last night?
I saw a team that wasn't going down without a fight in the Colorado Avalanche. I think both Andre and I expected them to do better than the one goal they had put up in each of the last 2 games. last night. I think I was a little more hesitant to say the Abs would win the game outright. Credit to Andre for taking the plus money yesterday on that. Credit to both of you guys for setting up the Makar bounce back. The Mark called him out at the end of game 4, and Andre on the show yesterday pretty much confidently predicted that he would bounce back in game 5, and that's exactly what happened. I think he was the difference between Colorado playing a game 6 and going home. He really made that big of an impact last night. On the show yesterday, I was also questioning how much this sudden suspension would impact Colorado for the entire series. I wasn't sure if it was just a game 4 thing happening so close to puck drop, or if it was something looming. I think last night answered that question, that it feels like game 4 was kind of the game where they were just in shock about what had happened and weren't prepared for it, where this is just me guessing from an outsider perspective. It feels like they had a couple of days to process it and accept what happened and went through the stages, if you will. And it showed in game 5. I mean, I felt like that was the best game Colorado had in their the whole series.
Oh, for sure.
ESPN also put up a graphic at the end of the first period last night that Colorado only led after the first period once this entire postseason. And while they didn't lead last night after the first period, I think the fact that they were tied was a good sign, because they had been trailing by multiple goals several times after the first this series, getting off to slow starts, and they couldn't do that. They really had to at least not let the game get away from them early. And I think Colorado just needs to put up goals. So it ties into the Ottinger point you made, where Colorado needs to put up a lot of goals to win games, because when they put up more than 3 goals, they've won both those games. When they put up 3 or less, they've lost every single game. So I think it's becoming clear Colorado needs to put up at least 4 goals a game to win. And I don't think that's a surprise, considering what we thought of them offensively and what we think of Georgia. But yeah, I think the takeaway is Colorado seems to be not going down without a fight. And I think they're going to have to keep putting up ridiculous numbers to win.
Well, a couple points too. I think Middlestat and Lehkonen is huge, because I know that Lekkonen's not like a depth piece. He's a very good player. He scores a bunch of goals, but he's not your big guys, right? He's not Rantanen, McKinnon, Makar. Him scoring, I think, is massive. And then you have Middlestat, who they picked up at the deadline for playoff depth. Depth is something we've been talking about with the Avalanche all year long. One of the most top-heavy teams in the league, next to maybe Toronto, right? So, for Lehkonen to score and for Middlestat to score, I thought were huge for them last night. On top of that, to your point, John, they did not have a lead in this series until Middlestat's goal in the third period. That was the first lead that they had when they scored. When they won game 1, it was in overtime, right? So that was the first lead they had all series long. So I think that was a huge boost for them. And like I said, okay, Makar gets 2. McKinnon puts the game on ice with the last goal of the game. Awesome. But I think for Lehkonen and for Middlestat to help out a little bit without Nichushkin, Rantanen moved down to the second line, kind of spreading out the wealth a little bit. I thought that those 2 players stepping up and getting a goal was absolutely huge for them. And tomorrow night, man, it's early, but DraftKings has them both minus money right now, back in Colorado, and that's going to be an awesome game. I can't wait for it. Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, it's a late game. 9:40. I thought it was like 10:10, but either way, a wonderful nightcap, the one we all deserve on a Friday night. All right, moving on. 2 games in the NHL tonight. Yo, Andre, I gotta talk to you for a sec, man. Not as a coworker, but as a brother, a friend, how's your heart doing, man? You got game 6 Knicks, game 6 Rangers. This is a lot for one man to carry, man. How you doing right now?
Not too bad. It helps I remind myself that I'm a Giants fan and they're gonna be, losing all season long, so I can deal with this.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And the fact that your Yankees are plus money today against the Twins, no disrespect to the Twins, but I'm on that all day. So you got some other things, I guess, to take your mind off it. The New York Rangers are in Carolina for game 6. Can Carolina do it? Can they push a game 7? I'm sure lots of people thought they could. I, for one, did not think they could. And we will get our answer at about 10:30 tonight. The Rangers plus 140 on the road. I don't care if Carolina's won the last 2 games. These odds are still ridiculous to me. But Rangers plus 140 on the road. The Hurricanes minus 166. The over is 5.5 at plus 102, and the under is minus 122. Plus 1.5 for the Rangers is minus 192. Minus 1.5 for the Hurricanes is plus 160. Andre, what do you got, man? What do you see in this game tonight?
Yeah, at some point in this series, and I really don't know when it was, I reminded myself that the Rangers organization for my entire life has had a sickening commitment to going 7 games in the second round, no matter what avenue it takes to get there. So that's just been lingering in the back of my head. But this game, like the rest of them, really comes down to the power plays. It comes down to the PKs. It comes down to special teams more than anything. Don't expect the Rangers to skate the way they did in Game 5 again. If they do, just end their season. I mean, that's not going to cut it in this game or next game. But I don't expect that to happen again. I think that was a wake-up call. I think that was a punch in the mouth.
Yeah.
Filipino should be back. I know Chris Kreider got off his feet with that extra day of rest, so hopefully he'll skate better, be healthier. Adam Fox has been banged up. Hopefully he skates better, he's healthier. This will be a fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this one went to overtime. But I expect the Rangers to close it out. For some reason, the Rangers and the Knicks are allergic to finishing a series in the Garden. And I'm praying that continues tonight. If not, we'll be talking about these teams on Saturday. But I think the Rangers have a bounce back in them. So
really quickly, since you just brought it up, and I'm talking like 10 seconds, give me like a super direct answer here. I don't know this well enough. I'm not following close enough. I watched the first half of the Boston-Cleveland game last night with my father-in-law, and that's the most basketball I've watched all postseason. Why in the world are the Knicks plus 180, and should I take it? Because that seems outrageous to me.
The Pacers haven't lost at home this postseason, and the Knicks have approximately 7 healthy players that belong on an NBA roster.
Okay. So I should take it then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Give me a little New York City parlay. I'm down for it. Both ridiculous plus money. Yeah, I mean, listen, so I'm worried about this game for the Rangers. I am. Carolina smells blood. Carolina at no point in time has played 60 minutes of awful hockey. All of their losses in the first half of this series were by 1 goal. 2 games went to overtime, or just the 1? Maybe it was just the 1.
No, 2 and 3. Both went to overtime.
Yeah, okay. So both 2 and 3. Very, very close games. 5-on-5, there were large stretches of all 3 games where Carolina was the better team. So this is not like it is miraculous if the Hurricanes pull this off, but it's also like they're not playing the Capitals. You know what I mean? Like it's like the the Carolina Hurricanes are a Stanley Cup contender. John picked them to win the Stanley Cup, if I remember correctly. So this is a very, very good hockey team. I am worried. They're back home. They got 2 wins now. I'm going to stand on the point that I've made all postseason when it comes to the New York Rangers, and I just think they're out for blood, man. I really, really do feel like blowing 2-game series leads 2 years in a row. I think it really does stick with this team, and I really think they are a different team, and I think they get the job done. Whether it's tonight or game 7, I don't know. I'm going to take the Rangers once again. Like, be responsible when you act like me, but at plus 140, I'm taking the Rangers, and if I lose, I lose. Like, it is like those are tremendous odds for the best team, statistically speaking, points wise, in the National Hockey League. So I'll take the Rangers plus 140. But I really have no idea how this game is going to go. Really, what it boils down to for me, and I mean, you said special teams, Andre, and I don't disagree with you. While the Rangers didn't put up a bunch of dangerous chances in game 5, Freddie Anderson had his best game of the series by a long shot. And so what are we seeing from him tonight? That's huge. Igor is going to be Igor. The Rangers just straight up didn't play well the other night. I thought they had a good first half of the game. I'm hearing some people say that they were awful from start to finish. I didn't feel that way, but in the last half of that game, the Rangers just left Igor out to dry in that third period. So I expect the Rangers defensively to be a lot tighter. But I like the real question mark for me, John, is what are we getting from Freddie? Because the Freddie that we saw from games 1 through 4, or games 1 through 3, I guess, or like 1 and 2. When did the rookie start? 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4.
Okay, my brain. I'm a Leaf fan. I had playoff Freddie for a long time. I know this Freddie. I actually saw Freddie in a condo elevator once. We never met, but I saw him. He's a massive guy. All these sports people I meet apparently are huge. But anyway, I digress. I've seen playoff Freddie before, man, and it's a little nerve-wracking. So that's my big question mark. John, what do you see?
All right, full disclosure here for anyone listening. I've gotten pretty much every game in this series wrong. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm the one that should be like analyzing this game at all, or maybe I'm just someone to bet against when it comes to the Rangers versus Canes.
Hate them.
I'm just gonna go with what I think, and feel free to bet against it. To the pleasure of Andre, probably. I feel like the Canes are gonna win tonight. So that probably means the Rangers are closing it out. All right, I agree about Freddie when it comes to my thoughts on this game. I don't think that's going to happen again, what happened in game 5. I don't want to say he was playing out of his mind, but that was definitely his best game in the series. Like, no doubt in my mind. I agree with Mark about the Rangers side of game 5 as well, in that I don't think the Rangers played badly the entire game. I think they played awful in the third period, though. I do think it was a little bit like the Leafs Bruins in the first round, where Carolina took advantage of Rangers' mistakes, particularly the one where they turned it over in their own zone. I felt like Carolina took advantage of a couple really bad mistakes by the Rangers, and the Rangers had their most sloppy period of the entire playoffs. I don't expect that to happen again. I think I was listening to some local New York sports radio yesterday. Some Rangers fans were calling in, and something about the attitude from the radio host and the fans got me thinking this is going to go 7. And they all seem to believe that the Rangers need to have their backs against their wall to have their best come outs. And truthfully, I don't think they have their backs against the wall yet. They got comfortable. I really think that's just what happened. The Rangers got comfortable with a 3-0 series lead. And even at the end of game 5, Mark, I think you said this recapping that the next night. Rangers were up 1-0 at the end of the second, or maybe it was Andre that said it, both of you probably.
We're both very smart. We're both very wise. Yeah.
There we go. You both get the glory. Anyway, to recap this, it seems like maybe the Rangers thought they were already about to advance at the end of the second period when they still had to close it out. And I don't know. I just get the feeling they're going to have to do this in the Garden. They're going to have to do this with their backs against the wall and facing, and Andre said this the other day too, facing a reputation of being chokers, because I do think they get that reputation now if they blow that series. After what happened with the Devils last year, and this would be, the Rangers would be only the 5th team in NHL history to blow a 3-0 lead. I think they have to face that reality or face that fear to get the best out of them. And the Canes, I don't think this is the same team from the first 3 games either. These last 2 games, they have been playing very well and been surging at the right time. I do not think that is going away. I think the skaters have found their rhythm, and the Rangers better not mess up again, put it that way, because I think Carolina has found their groove and they're taking advantage of it. I still think they have some fight left in them, and I'm going to take the Carolina 60-minute line. I think this goes 7. And I think the Rangers are going to win the series. That's the ironic thing. I just think it's going to take 7 to do it.
Whether the Rangers feel like their backs are against the wall or not, I have no idea. I'm not in that dressing room. However, they should feel like they are. Because unlike you, John, if Carolina wins game 6, game 7's a crapshoot, man.
Yeah.
Like, all bets are off for game 7, right? So for me, I if I'm, Peter Laviolette, I'm saying, boys, like, this is it. Like, we got to finish this off tonight. It has to be finished. One last question before we move on to Edmonton, Vancouver. This is for you, Andre. As a Rangers fan, when Kuznetsov does that stupid bird, how annoyed do you get?
Say the first thing that popped into my head, but I genuinely don't care about him or that celebration.
No?
We saw with the Capitals. It's cute. It's whatever. And Panarin's gonna do his little leg kick after he scores the game winner in OT.
Yeah. I always it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I think it's kind of cool for the guy to have this thing, and this is like his kind of like revival party, right? He was an absolute ghost for the Capitals. They waived him. Carolina took their shot with him. So it doesn't bother me, but every time I see it, I always think, what do the opposing fans think when it's the playoffs, stress is high, and they see that stupid thing? I always wonder. But anyway, moving on to Edmonton and Vancouver. And boys, let me tell you, up here in Canada, boy, does this series have tons of drama. And it is soaking up the airwaves. In Toronto, you would think that Toronto sports shows would start with Edmonton, Vancouver, but don't forget that the Maple Leafs have their own dramatic. They still run the show here in Toronto, let's just be honest. But Edmonton, Vancouver, the Oilers minus 148 on the road. The disrespect to the plus 124 Vancouver Canucks. The over is 6.5. Gentlemen, over 6.5. Plus 102. That is interesting. The under, minus 122. Minus 1.5 is plus 170, while plus 1.5 for the Canucks is minus 205. The fact that we have a second string, actually technically a third string, because if you remember, Jack Campbell started the season with Skinner as the backup, and now Pickard is the backup, but he started the season in the minors. So you have 2 minor league goaltenders and the over is plus money. That just kind of shows you how both those guys have been playing. even though for Pickard it's only one game. John, let's start with you, man. What do you see in this game tonight? Lots of questions on both sides, man.
Give me all the plus money. Vancouver plus 124, over plus 6.5. I feel like I really like both of those tonights, particularly the over. Like, I know the over didn't hit last time, and I should have anticipated that with Pickard getting the nod. But I feel better about it today than I did in game 4, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Pickard was a spurt. I think it was like a temporary boost, so to speak. I don't think they're going to hold the Canucks to 2 goals again for the rest of the series. I think Pickard was a temporary boost or temporary advantage that the Oilers could use, because you could argue they might have caught the Canucks by surprise making that move, because I don't think it was exactly announced too far in advance. I think what happened, this is just me interpreting it. Feel free to comment on it. My interpretation was Vancouver was playing the same way they did against Skinner, and it didn't work as well against Pickard. So I think they're going to make some adjustments tonight and play a little bit differently. I believe in their coaching staff. I believe in the depth to make the adjustments that they need. I think Vancouver, I think needs to get more than 20-something shots a game. They're averaging about somewhere around 20. They need to get a few more opportunities for sure. But they still do a good job taking advantage of their opportunities despite not getting that many of them. I feel like Vancouver's going to score more than 2 goals tonight. And if I've said this for a while with Edmonton, if you can contain Draisaitl and McDavid, you're going to win. And Draisaitl had a big game in game 4. McDavid did enough to help out too. I'm skeptical they have a big game tonight after all that, but I think more importantly, Vancouver's going to score like 4 on Pickard. I'd almost even look at that over 3.5 total for Vancouver as a team total. I'd consider it, but I think the over 6.5 is a safer play. And I think the home ice advantage is going to help Vancouver as well. I like them to win tonight. And this is me thinking this could still go 7 games. Just tonight, I like the Canucks plus money. They historically do well as a home underdog. Always tempting when it happens. And so, yeah, that and the over, give me both.
And to your point about the shots, I saw this last night, and I don't remember if it's like recent, like since the year 2000, or if this is like all time. But the Canucks, at least since the year 2002, at least, it might be all of history, I'm not sure. They have the fewest amount of shots through 10 games in a postseason. And it's like 202 or 205 or something like that. If you remember against Nashville, it was the same thing. So I'm right there with you. I 100. So first of all, talking about this series going 7, I have a feeling, and there's no real reason for this feeling. It's just the kind of gut feeling, first thing that kind of comes to mind. I have a feeling that whoever wins tonight is going to win this series. I just have a feeling that whoever wins tonight is going to win game 6. I don't know why. It's just something that just can't leave my mind. So that's interesting. Like, we'll see if that actually happens or not. If I'm Vancouver, I feel way better about myself than the media would have people think about me. You were losing 2-0 in Edmonton. You come back, tie it up 2-2. Bouchard scores that goal with like 38 seconds left. You were right there on the cusp of overtime. Pettersson has been a ghost. He's scored 1 goal in this series. I think he has 4 points in the whole postseason, if I'm not, I think. He's a ghost out there, man. So your best player, or at least one of your best players, has been an absolute no-show. You have your third string goaltender who is playing, for all intents and purposes, out of his mind. I think Vancouver's in a really good spot right now. They're tied 2-2. They're going home. Listen, McDavid, Draisaitl, I know that they play on the power plays and everything, but those two guys almost played half the game each. Like, I'm pretty sure McDavid, Draisaitl, 28, 26 minutes, something like that. That's way too much. That is showing the rest of your team that I don't believe in any of you. These guys are going to be on the ice for basically half the game. I just think Vancouver has more depth. I think that their goaltending situation is way better because, listen, Shilov's, we don't have any history on him. Like, we don't know anything about this guy. All we know is that he's played very, very well in this postseason. There are no goalie props that I could see on DraftKings, but Captain Picard, he had a great game the other day. Great game. I'm with you, John. I don't see him having a shutout going into the third period, 2 games in a row. I just don't see it. I do think, and I didn't get to talk about this yesterday, but I do think that the Oilers defensively were like, yo, we got like this homie back there who's never started a playoff game. Let's tighten up, boys. Like, let's tighten up. But listen, man, like, I know Nugent Hopkins scored, but all your goals are coming from the same places. You know, Draisaitl, Bouchard. I think Vancouver has better depth. I think they have better goaltending. One conversation that we're not going to have today because it's not necessary, but coming into Game 6, we might be having the conversation. Thatcher Demko might be ready. And depending on what happens tonight, what do you do? I have an opinion. I think if Demko is not 1,000% ready, you don't start him. That's my opinion. He was hurt for the last month of the season, played 1 game, and hasn't played since. I would make sure that he is good to go. And just trust your guy, man. Shilovs has been playing out of his mind. So anyway, I'm taking Vancouver plus 124. I'll go with the over as well. I'm a little bit more hesitant than you are, John. But I like the over. But I'm definitely taking the Oilers or the Canucks rather at plus 124. No questions asked. Andre, what about you, man? What do you see here?
The series to me just feels like a tug of war. You know, one team grabs momentum, other team gets it right back in the middle. And the
analogy.
Canucks grabbing it first. Obviously, they took the 1-0 lead. They took the 2-1 lead. Now they're back home looking for the 3-2. And I still think Shilos is playing fantastic. And we'll get them there. Like, I believe it was Mark, you just said it. David and Draisaitl are playing so much. The Oilers are emptying the tank just to get every win and get even in this series against the Canucks. And then it's just like, okay, Vancouver responds because they know what they're doing. They know how to score. When they needed to score at the end of game 4, they pulled up 2 quick ones to even it up. They have the responses. They have the guys in the locker room. They're a team that's not going away. They're a team that's complementing each other in every sense of the word right now. I just really like what the Canucks are doing. I think they're going to win this series with or without Demko coming back, and I think it starts with a Game 5 win. So I'm going to take Canucks plus 124 as well. Both goalies played well. I would lean towards the over in this game or just in the series in general, honestly, but both goalies played well, and I'll cut them some slack. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they can do it again. So I'm going to stay away from a total this time around, but definitely taking the Canucks plus 124.
I do think as well, it has to be said, like we got to throw this out there. Leon Draisaitl, this is one of those bets. It's the same thing with Vancouver. It's the same thing with the Rangers plus 140. Take the bet. If it loses, then it loses. But Leon Draisaitl, the guy has 20 points this postseason. I'm trying to remember, I think 47. I'm not going to look it up here on the fly, but I think he has 47 playoff games the guy's played, and he averages 1.6 points per game, which is more per average than he gets in the regular season. It's just incredible the way Leon Draisaitl steps up come postseason. So I do think that Vancouver is going to win this game, but Leon Draisaitl for a goal tonight, minus 105. For him to get the first goal tonight, a fun little risky bet, plus 750. For her Leon Draisaitl over 1.5 points is plus 100, which I think is a wonderful bet. So as much as I do think Vancouver's going to win, Draisaitl does nothing but produce in the postseason, man. They've played, 5-4? They've played 9 games in the postseason, the Oilers have, and he has 20 points. Like, over 1.5 plus 100. I really like that bet. All right, let's move on to our best bets, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code SportsAddict, get 10% off every sports card in the entire store. That includes tons of cards that are on sale up to 50% off with our promo code SportsAddict. Not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. Head over to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing. It's all there. Firstroundcollectibles.com. That's the number 1 ST roundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got as your best bet?
With a lot of love to Brock Besser, because I think he's going to have another great game, having a great postseason. I'm going to take the simpler option from his great game tonight, and that is Canucks plus 124. Like the way they're playing. They're at home, or they're back at home, I should say. I think they win. I think they take another lead in this series to go up 3-2, and at the very least earn one more shot at playing hockey in Rogers Arena this year.
It is weird that one of them is Rogers Place and one of them is Rogers Arena, and I never remember which one is which. They're both Rogers. Rogers, my favorite phone company in Canada. Love you guys. By the way, my bill is really expensive, and I tried watching 2 hockey games at the same time last night, and it lagged the whole time. So I'm just going to call you out. Thanks, Rogers. Appreciate you. Want to watch some women's hockey and some NHL at the same time? Rogers is like, no. John, what do you got as your best bet?
I swear, whenever I think of Rogers, I still think of Toronto with Rogers Center.
Oh, before you go on, all that being said, Rogers, we can wipe the slate clean if you just sponsor the show. That's all you have to do. And I will, you have the greatest internet that I've ever used in my life. All right, John, what do you got?
All right. I'm going to stick with the nightcap game as well. I think we're all on the Canucks to win tonight in game 5 at least. I think I'm going to stick with my over prediction here at 6.5. I like the small plus money we're getting with that. And also, I think this is fading Pickard more than anything because I still think he's a better option than Skinner. I just don't think he's going to be able to produce a game like he did in game 4. As Mark said, he was pretty much lights out until the third period. And I feel like Vancouver's finally going to find a way to get some more pressure on him, get some more opportunities. And to the Edmonton side of things as well, Mark put this pretty much accurately. Draisaitl's been hard to contain fully. I don't think he'll have like a ridiculous game or anything tonight, but it's going to be hard to shut him out entirely. I'm feeling like a 4-3 game tonight in the Canucks' favor, so that would be enough to get over 6.5. Give me that as my best bet.
Absolutely love it. We're doing a same game parlay for the evening game, folks. If you're feeling good, put some cash on the Rangers plus 140 when they win. This is a 10-10 start tonight. So when the Rangers bet cashes, take that winnings and put it on the Canucks to win, the over. And it might sound contradictory. I don't think it is. Leon Draisaitl over 1.5 points. The guy is averaging more than 2 points a game in this entire postseason. 20 points across 9 games. This guy is a definition of a playoff performer. I do think the Canucks will win. I do like the over a lot, and I think Leon Draisaitl gets 2 points. And when you're going to score 2 goals, 3 goals, maybe even 4 goals, maybe we see another 5-4 game, and Leon Draisaitl's on the ice for 28 minutes, you're going to get 2 points. So give me Draisaitl over 1.5 points at plus 100.
A nice even plus 100. Yeah, same game parlay in Canada in the late night, starting off with a win by the home team at plus 124. Then you got to go over 6.5 goals. That right now is plus 102. And last, but certainly not least, the lowest odds of this parlay, funny enough, Leon Draisaitl over 1.5 points is plus 100. Altogether, that's a plus 750 parlay.
That is a weird thing that Draisaitl to get 2 points is worse odds than the Canucks to win. That is kind of crazy. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We're going to wrap up the show. Whether you're watching live or throughout the day, we appreciate you. Hit up a follow on our channel, whether on YouTube or on X, retweet, like, all of that stuff. We appreciate any help that we can get. Shout out John, Andre, great show. To everybody else, again, whether you're watching live or throughout the day, we appreciate you. First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off. We appreciate you, and we will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the games tonight. Let's make some money, baby. See you tomorrow.